It's how they said George Washington here in America. You've been deceived. I'm here to break the deception. I'm here to reveal once and for all the truth. Not just reveal the truth. I am the crown prince of heaven and earth. I will be crowned king of kings and lord of lords. So this is to give the white people their chance to shine under the code of righteousness. Now, we talked about the Templars, and we have to go to your Rosicrucians, your Freemasons, Blue Lodge, your Red Lodge, your Scottish Rite, your York Rite. We have to go to your ancient nobles of the ancient Arab nobles of the mystic shrine, your Shriners. We have to go to them as well and give them the opportunity to send somebody to talk to determine if the widow's son is raised. Because I am prepared to tell them in detail the who, what, when, where, and how the widow's son was raised. So, it's the white people's turn to join the ranks of the righteous. Now, discretion has been given to the one declared righteous by heaven and earth to move according to his skill of professionalism and leadership. Personally, I would have been moved, but he doing it according to the order, so that I can come now to get the white people the chance to show they can be righteous under the code of righteousness, what we in ancient Kemet or Egypt called Mat, which is the balancing of the heart against the feather. Have you cleansed your transgression sufficiently enough to be able to ascend, to earn your right to eternal life? Because that's where we go from here. Anything that don't go to eternal life is going to be vaporized. Now, there has been several people already condemned because there was no redemption for them. So tell them, if they turn, they up the bat. They can send who they want to send and ask what they want to ask. I'm here. Look like somebody want to ask a question. Oh, I didn't need to do that. So I'm going to scroll down just in case we got any questions for me to answer. And we going to see, because on my page I tagged and showed what we call conscious white people. The reason I've been showing conscious white people is because in the process of the resurrection, they had to develop and show that they could develop, after the attainment of the one drop of blood, they can develop a sense of righteousness and still appear to be white. And so now, this is why they get their turn to bat. They get to see, white people, y'all get to see if y'all can step up to the plate. Now, I already know what y'all gonna do, because it's been proven that when it's time to get what y'all got coming, y'all always been front and center. And so, the funny part about it is y'all didn't catch the deception because it was in plain sight the whole time. The same as black people didn't catch the deception. And it's been in plain sight. It's just that the story was told by the victors, and the victors told the story in the manner that oppresses you the most. In other words, they told you the story at an angle. Now, you're looking at the same story as it happened, but they tell it to you, and then they tell you to view it like this. We won, therefore you should do what I tell you to. You never investigated what happened to determine who won the war. So they told you that the North and the South was fighting for the liberation of Africans in bondage. It's absolutely a crock of crap. The North and the South was fighting about money, because the North was still under the control of the crown. under King George III. And the North did not want the independent nation states that were promised to the 13 colonies to flourish. So they wanted to stomp them out because the king felt humiliated. And so they used deception. They just given the same formula that Rome has used over the millennium. If you follow the history, it becomes self-explanatory. Rome has been given the same thing over and over. They did it with the Huns. They did it with those in every area they conquered. Then, now watch how Rome tricked all of y'all. They told you the Holy Roman Empire failed. But still, you are under the control of the Vatican. I have to kick the Pope out. He already know. He's already told you who he was, and if y'all don't adhere to my words, what he was going to do. Now, he's telling y'all the mark of the beast is the implementation of the Sunday Sabbath. That's not the mark of the beast. That is deception. He's telling you that to identify himself as a beast. He has to go. The mark of the beast is money. You cannot buy nor sell without money. It's the only thing you cannot buy or sell without is money. Whether it's in card form or cash form is irrelevant. And this is why they tell you in your biblical New Testament you cannot worship mammon and God. The money is the distracting tool to allow you to become corrupted in your pursuit of wealth, that you neglect your self-responsibility to develop your soul so that when the time comes to ascend, you will have done your due diligence and earned your right to eternal life. They lied to you and they deceived you, the same as they did the black people. Just like they told us that black people have been being oppressed because they are black. This is not true. The oppression of the black people in America that they calling black people is for a couple of different reasons than we've been told. It's not a superiority complex, as white supremacy is a military doctrine. And it's used to pit a smaller group against a larger group in order to accomplish a political or military end game. The political and military end game of white supremacy was to polarize the ideologies of white people and black people into two opposing influences so that it will always keep us at odds with each other. The real reason black people have been oppressed is because we are matriarchal, and the invaders are patriarchal. So you see in your biblical New Testament that the so-called Christ is saying, Peter, on this rock I build my temple. Well, they don't tell you, but the word Peter in the Greek is pater, which means father. This is why all of these Catholic priests are called father. And they all wear their cassocks, but they are not telling you they are cross-dressing on purpose. Though they have robes like that in the priesthood, theirs was stolen and altered from the nunnery. The nun priestesses are the actual heirs to the Catholic Church, the diocese. It is theirs by right of priesthood. I have to kick them out if they are male. In the established Black Madonna, according to the widow, is in Chicago. And her name is Mother Khadijah. She is the reigning Black Madonna, or the high priestess. It is her who will pick the women that will be trained to become the raisers of the 144,000. But she will move when she chooses to move. The wheels have already been put in motion. But I had to get to this point of dissatisfaction so that I would open the door for the white people to show that they have moved into the ranks of the righteous. Police killings. Have to address this. If you are a white person and you know a white person recently in the last 3 years that has been shot unarmed by the police, you need to post that stuff immediately because they are using it to try to put us at war. They want us killing each other. They are using the police as agitators of race war. We are beyond that now. There's no room for this divide and conquer mechanism to continue under its current reign of tyranny. And the police understand because they are selected according to a specific mental defect that will make them more likely to behave in the manner to kill innocent people. They are running them through psychological screens to make sure they are correctly mentally unstable to perform their duties as a mentally unstable person. They have to almost look normal enough to pass for normal, but the psychological defect has to be present, and it does not matter the race of the officer. There will be some that you would call good officers that don't have the defect. 9.9 out of 10 now, these are veterans that's been around since the 80s, some even since before. And they are not, they weren't hired in according to that psychological makeup required to start a race war. White people, here is your homework to know if your government wanted to start a race war. Your homework. I'm going to give you clues by naming specific people that was trained specifically to start a race war. They told you Charles Manson was a serial killer. They lied to you. He killed nobody. Original reports placed Manson nowhere around any murder scene. Original reports say Charles Manson never gave an order to kill anyone. Charles Manson, to the day he died, said he never told anybody to kill anybody at any time. This was a government scheme to remove Charles Manson for revealing the plot to start the race war. How did Charles Manson know that they were trying to start a race war? Charles Manson was trained by a good friend of a Christian minister named Jim Jones, who bought a plot of land in Guyana, South America, and flew a group of black people down there and had them drink some very special Kool-Aid. The same guy that's his best friend trained Charles Manson in mind control techniques and told him that the purpose he was training him in mind control, this took place in San Quentin in 1965. He told him that he was training him in mind control, so he wanted him to go out and get a bunch of upper middle class white girls and boys and train them to go out and start a race war. So he revealed their plot. He didn't stop there because he established a network of information that he had access to. And what else did Charles tell us? Don't let them put fluoride in the water. Fluoride is a mind control drug. Well, they have already labeled this man as insane. So the perception is they told you to ignore what Charles is saying. Look at how we tell you to look at him as a lunatic. And they enforce this by incarcerating indefinitely and continuously badgering him and calling him insane. He is revealing the scheme. He was the first whistleblower on what we call the New World Order, which was actually a takeover that began under Dwight D. Eisenhower. More research. Dwight Eisenhower gave a speech about the military-industrial complex. Every white person must watch this speech and understand that he is telling you there is a force at play taking your government over. Your president is leaving office in terror, and he's warning you. Now, back to Charles Manson. What else did he warn us about? Stop letting them cut down all the trees. They're trying to smother you to death by destroying the forest. Charles Manson told us this. This sounds like a madman. What else did he tell us about? Helter Skelter. What was Helter Skelter? He said Helter Skelter was when the system breaks down so bad that it's total chaos in the streets from the government and its involvement in trying to start a race war. Now, you can't just have one white dude start a race war like that. You got to have a opponent. If you want to control the outcome, you have to control both sides. It's called Hegelian dialectic. Who did they train as the black guy? His name was Joseph Senku in 1965. He was in San Quentin being trained by the same mind control specialists to go in and recruit young black males out of the Black Panther Party and the SNCC Party and other organizing groups, and to organize them into a faction to assault white people at every turn. This is what Joseph Senku's marching orders was. He told it. And he suffered the consequences, but not before he laid down a very important tell-all so that black and white people can understand what's taking place in this country. He formed what you call a Symbionese Liberation Army. The Symbionese Liberation Army is based on the principle of a symbiote. Two things that must come together in order to keep each other alive. This was his philosophy. What did he do? They told him to go to the gutter, to the lower class black people, and recruit soldiers. He didn't do that. He went to the upper class white people, kidnapped their children, because he's not going to let you do it to ours. Trained them in paramilitary activities and organized a series of bank robberies. His most notable kidnap victim was a woman they called Tanya. You know her as Patricia Hearst of the Hearst Empire, who was pardoned from Gerald Ford, which she should have been, because he wouldn't have done anything to her had not he felt his people were at a threat. They were threatened with life and limb. So this is the research white people need to do in determining who I am and if what I'm saying is valid. Check out Charles Manson's videos on Facebook or YouTube. Listen to what the man say and disregard the fact that they told you he was a lunatic. The man is clear in what he is saying, and it matches everything we see today with the water, with the trees, the plastic, and the pollutants in the air. He told you about this, but he didn't just start telling you about it when they started recording him in the 80s. Charles Manson has been singing the same thing ever since 65 when he got out of prison in, I think it was 67, 68. When he got out of prison till the day he died, his story never changed. The people around him who recanted and said that Charles ordered it, stories changed multiple times, at least 2 or 3 each. But Charles' story never changed. And the validity of what Charles said must be verified before you dismiss that man as a lunatic. And you must look at the price that he paid to not drive white people into a race war that would cause all of us the greatest heartache that this nation had ever seen. They've been trying for years. All of these cases must be considered. Also, white people, you have to look at the golden president, JFK. He warned you about the secret societies in his address to the Associated Press. in which he told you at the outset the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. Now, this came on the heels of him discovering MK Ultra and the secrecy of it, as well as the bankers, because he was compelled to sign an Emergency War Powers Act, which, when he first signed it, he did believe that it was part of the document you signed to be president. He didn't know he was signing a country into another term of perpetual servitude to the international banking community, which are going to have to answer to me. He warned you about the Jesuits, that Francis over there is a Jesuit, mind you, were trying to extort him. So JFK gave us a speech to inform his constituents, which is the American people, that he swore to uphold and protect by oath of office. He told you that there should be a separation in church and state, and that we should not allow religious despots to try and twist the arm of those who are free in a liberated society to do the bidding of a religious group. Now, mind you, he was a Catholic in defiance of Jesuit Catholics. Now, I got the whole puzzle. I can put it together in real time. I won't put it together and put it in the presentation. I want to do it in real time so I can show it to you. So, white people, alert your secret societies that the widow's sons say it's time to pay tribute, and it's time to acknowledge that the widow's son has returned. The master of masters is here. And I can tell them exactly how I got here and where I came from and what I'm here for. So, if you want to be counted amongst the ranks of the righteous, the widow's son, the phoenix, as he arrived from the depths and ascend to infinite heights, he must rise from Orion, Michigan. The three Orions: Orion, Lake Orion, Orion Township. And in his rise, he must be met by three leaders, kings, magi, however you want to say it, which in modern times we would call them the three CEOs of Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors, of which, by me attaining the rank of Crown Prince of Heaven and Earth, I just inherited a unknown stakeholder status of prime stakeholder in all three companies. See, if I want to, I can actually merge them, because that's the controlling share that I have, but I can't do that right now because it won't benefit the people. Now, the CEOs have to be compelled to take their tail down there so that we can treat the workers correctly on their upcoming contracts, because they've been deceived, lied to, and all of their hard-earned work has been stolen from them, and they have no idea what is taking place. But when we get down there to adjust their contracts and begin to get them whole again, when we get down there to get to do that, I will be able to, in real time, I know I got some people, I got resources that will be able to show you how they're stealing the money from the worker by deception. When they get done showing it to you, I'm going to tell them what they have to do for the next 4 years while the union reorganize and get out the traitors. There's a lot of them in there that's just in there to get fat and sit on their behinds. They got to go. If you're not there to protect the interests of the worker and you're in a union position, you got to go. I'm here to run your tail out of there. And so the interests of the people this time will be protected from the corporate side, because the corporate side is owned by the Crown Prince of Heaven and Earth. And they're going to do what they are told, or they will not have a job or a life. because I will snatch all of their pennies using the Internal Revenue Service and the Federal Reserve and every bank, central bank. I will shut them down. They're not going to deny showing up down there to make these people whole after they've been lying to them and deceiving them. They're not going to deny them what's rightfully theirs. So I'm going to make sure they get what they got coming. As the widow's son, all of this belongs to me. And if I say that the people need to be treated correctly, and they need to be justly compensated in all justice and fairness, not because they greedy, because they not. I worked with them. I worked with them 10 years. They don't complain about work. They don't complain about all of the underhanded things the management does that inconveniences and harms the worker, but they will not let the worker do anything remotely similar for them. This is for the workers. And so y'all gonna make them come down there. I don't care if they put it on the news, if they just show up, get them to, I need to know they going. That's all I need to know. When I gotta be there. Because I have to know in advance, at least a couple of days, because there's some more judgments. As I told you, some people have been condemned already. There's a judgment to show what they call the wisdom of Solomon that has to take place there as well. So, all of this shows when the white people run them down there because they're tired of being lied to and deceived. Somebody is here to stand up for y'all too. I came for my own. They already know I'm going to break them out these chains. That's why they're not moving according to my desire. Now it's y'all turn to see if y'all can fit in this new and upcoming paradigm of righteousness. Fit in there. Get what's yours like we got what's ours. Because ours was to allow y'all to make us suffer while you ruled your empire, your Holy Roman Empire. While we served our punishment for what somebody else did in Babylon, and we didn't stop it. We were the ones punished for trying to clean it up when we should have stopped it in the beginning. So once they understand that the temple of man has been built, therefore, because that temple is constructed, that temple of man that was built, the widow's son is awaiting those who would be righteous to do what they know they are supposed to do at this time. And from that, I hope it's clear enough, and for those who might be of the school that I'm insane, I got my psych report for y'all. I got that, so when y'all send them, y'all can let them know. I can show them, I got my psych report. They're going to tell them I'm not crazy. I just smoke weed. And I'm always going to smoke weed, and I've been smoking it for millennium. Keep on doing it. So from that standpoint, I think I need to go find me a blunt. Oh, that's part of the prophecy too, but it's under a different school of thought than your church. See, they already know. That's why they legalizing weed everywhere, because they know I like weed. They can keep their alcohol. They can keep their spirits. You know, I don't want their spirits, so I'd rather chief a little bit. You know, so don't be upset if you find out that the sons of righteousness like marijuana. It was brought here specifically for the sons of righteousness to use. Where did it come from? It came from the Canis star constellation, the dog star, at the request of my close comrade, Anupu. You call him Anubis. And he waiting to carry some new corpses across the across the sands into the land of the dead. So whoever ready to die, Annabis waiting on you. But if you want to ascend into the next rank of righteousness, hey, I'm waiting for you. So you got to choose between me or the black dog. You know, I walk with the black dog daily. You'll never see me without the black dog no more. You know, so there is another part of the prophecy about the women. Why is that? And they wanted to villainize Solomon because they said he had so many wives, but they never told you. Solomon's greatness could not have been tamed if he had any less. Because the women are the givers of power. And every one of them that accepted him as a wife or as his concubine was giving him power to rule because they felt Solomon was righteous. Pay attention to the story of Sheba and it'll show you how women selected Solomon. Solomon didn't select the women. Queen of Sheba came to him. He didn't go to her. She came to him to test his wisdom, to see if he could figure out the answer to the riddle that she gave. He figured it out. And then they had a son. And I'm not going to touch on that. That's something else for another time. And so, tell your secret society, you know, Brotherhood of the White Temple, which I left him a message because Doriel did his part. Tell all of your political prisoners, because people don't believe they got white political prisoners, to make their cases public, make them known. I'm going to get all political prisoners first. And then I'm going to start cleaning out the prison system and standing these men back on their feet and helping them to be a support to their family. But anybody that don't want to participate, they can stay in there. I mean, nobody's obligated to be free. Freedom is not free. You have to want it, desire it, and seize it. It's not free. It's an effort to go with that. So you can sit around and wait for somebody else to free you, or you can participate with those on the path to freedom and walk the journey together. And you don't have to believe anything they believe. All you have to believe is that one thing. I want my path to heaven. And everybody that's walking their path to heaven, I want to walk with them in righteousness. Once you establish that in your mind, you won't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Democrat, a Republican, if he's 6 feet tall, 4 feet tall, if he's bow-legged, if he's not needed, you won't care. All you care about is attaining the kingdom of heaven. And this is the goal. So, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let the white people do their part. And I'm going to see how I show up. See what pop up. But y'all got to make these struggles known, because white people catching hell silently while black people catching it publicly. Because they don't want nobody to know they're killing all of us. So white people suffer in silence, and they put it on display to steer the wrath of those righteous ones. They're not going to move. You didn't notice all of those blacks getting shot in the back, but none of the black people like, man, that ain't right. But they ain't doing the nuts. Normally they nut up. You know, Watts riots, the 91 riots, Rodney King riots. Normally they nut up, but now they ain't nutting up. That's because they know I'm here. They know. Now, in order for me to be here, I had to already be successful up there. Now that I've been successful up there, I'm about to set it off down here. This is supposed to be an easy task down here, as above, so below. Because I want favor in heaven, I should have a light path to walk on earth. I shouldn't have to go through these struggles to liberate people after I've done my part. And boy, did I do my part, and y'all don't know the half of it, what I've been through for us to get here. And it's a lot of naysayers. They can do that. That's their right. But I went through the struggles, and I paid the prices. Everybody have to do their part in order for righteousness to reign once again. We all have to do our part, and now it's the white people time to see where they want to shine at, so keep your head up. Don't fall for the race war crap they've been trying to play on us. Show us all that we are worthy. We are all worthy of the kingdom of God. We are all worthy of the kingdom of righteousness. Let that be known. People don't like to acknowledge that they worthy. You worthy. You worthy. I paid the price. All you have to do is accept that you're worthy and do what's right. You don't have to do nothing extra. Just do what's right. Everybody think you got to go and do some extra stuff. It might be extra if you're walking down the street and you see an old lady needs some help across the street, but it don't hurt to be kind. Kind of make you feel good inside to extend some common courtesy and love to somebody else. That should make you feel good inside. And this is where we at. And so, as I scroll down and see who all, let's make sure I don't have any questions answered before I leave. Share this video, white folks, with each other. Y'all discuss this matter because this is y'all time to get out of here, And if you really want to understand what I'm saying, one of y'all might know Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Send it to him. Let him, because he know what's up. Because he did his part. You see? He did his part. And that wrestling was for a purpose. This is to keep you from being thrown to lions at the close of the age to find out if you got valor. Now it's simulated combat that they call professional wrestling, so as not to feed people to lions again. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up right here. I went on longer than I intended to, but that's how I do. So when I feel it, I feel it. And I just speak how I feel. So do what you think is right. And pass it on. And I say peace and one love and in the path to liberation. I'm out.